As we close out 2023 and head into the start of a new year, I thought this would be a good time to share some thoughts on where men's issues are now, the progress that we made in 2023, and where I see things headed in 2024. First, let me talk in general as someone who has been speaking out on behalf of men and boys and the issues they face for almost 28 years now. The sad truth is, for decades now, men's issues have been pretty much ignored. In fact, even daring to mention the issues that men and boys face, talk about what they're going through, and to try and bring about change to address those issues usually led to a backlash against the person speaking out. And more often than not, every effort being made to silence them. I and many others have experienced this. We've been attacked personally, professionally, and I'm even aware of cases where we were attacked physically. Those who want to silence us have proven time and again that they will stop at nothing, and I do mean nothing, to silence us and even deplatform us. I and many other creators have dealt with this for months and even years now. Heck, just about this time a year ago, I had what was my main account, Men Need to Be Heard 2, on TikTok, banned. Banned after a mass attack that was conducted in the middle of the night on Christmas, which is why I then created this account that you're watching now. An account, by the way, which has grown faster and gone further than any of my other prior accounts. And curiously, about 5 months after it got banned, that account, Men Need to Be Heard 2, suddenly reappeared out of nowhere. Poof, magically, it was back. To this day, I don't know how or why that happened, but I do believe it signaled a change. And it's something other creators who speak out on behalf of men noticed also. Those mass attacks, which worked so often in the past, suddenly aren't working as well. Yes, they still happen, and believe me, they're a pain in the ass to deal with. But as someone who deals with it on almost a weekly basis, I can tell you, those that have sought to silence us, to deplatform us, have completely and utterly failed in their mission. In fact, as I said earlier, myself and many other creators who speak out about men's issues are seeing more growth than ever. And I think it speaks to and is an indication of what is happening out in the real world. I truly believe that after decades of being ignored, being silenced, being shut down, men are finally being heard. And that brings me to another point. We have had some tremendous successes, some of which I'll illustrate in a moment. But we can't forget we still have a long way to go to getting society to acknowledge the issues men and boys face and to hopefully address them. In 2023, over the past 12 months, we've seen some tremendous successes. Things like getting shared parenting passed in Florida and Missouri, and significant progress towards getting it passed in many other states. We also saw increased awareness and indeed progress made towards addressing the inequities that dads and fathers face in family court. Things like mothers and their attorneys using false allegations, also known as the silver bullet, to gain an advantage in custody cases. Again, these are small victories, I admit, but they are still victories, and they should not be dismissed or discounted. In 2023, we also saw increased awareness brought on the plight of male victims of domestic violence and the complete and utter lack of services and support available to them. The Depp Heard trial, for example, showed the world how female perpetrators operate and how male victims are treated by law enforcement, the judicial system, and indeed society as a whole. It went a long way towards exposing the lack of resources and help available to male victims of domestic violence and the need to provide those services for them. Things like shelters and other programs, the very same ones that are available to female victims. Again, it's small progress, but it's still progress. We also saw increases in awareness of the huge issue of women making false allegations of SA, often months, years, even decades after the supposed attack happened. Dozens of proven false allegations made the news in the past 12 months, something that rarely, if ever, happened before. Along the same lines, the hiding of just how prevalent female SA and R against men is ending. There wasn't a week in the past year that I didn't see a case in the news about a teacher essaying one of her students or a woman R-ing a man. And as the year went along, it wasn't just seeing these cases once or twice a week. It became a daily occurrence. Again, something you never saw in the past. We also saw increased attention brought on issues like boys falling behind in school, the discrimination men face in the workplace, that men are predominantly the sufferers of things like homelessness, drug addiction, mental health issues, and unaliving themselves, not to mention many other issues I could list. And in the UK, at least, we saw an outcry to end the systemic governmental bias and discrimination against men, with ever-increasing calls for the creation of a minister for men, a position with the same responsibilities that the already existing minister for women has. A position, by the way, that was created years ago. It's wonderful to see that the inequality where a minister for women position exists, but not a minister for men, is being brought to light and hopefully addressed. Again, as I say, many will say these are small gains, but they are still gains, my friends. And in my opinions, the gains we've made in 2023 are significantly more than all of the combined gains we made in the prior 20 years. Which leads me to 2024. What will happen in the next 12 months? I believe we will continue to see these gains being made. In fact, I believe things are going to snowball. I truly believe the tide has turned, and that feminist paradigm which sought to demonize men and in many cases actively remove them from society is crumbling. More and more of the lies they've told for decades are being exposed. Things like it's all men, the wage gap myth, and that only women can be victims of domestic violence. Those lies have been espoused by feminists for decades now, and they're crumbling more and more each and every day. We're also seeing more and more men finding the courage to stand up and speak out about the issues they're facing. And let me tell you, their voices are being heard. I speak to politicians frequently, and I can tell you, I see more awareness in them of the issues men and boys face now than I have ever seen before. We're also seeing more and more women question the feminist mantra that they've been indoctrinated with since birth. And as they question it, they're starting to speak out on behalf of men, to speak out on the inequities men face in today's society. We're also starting to see the average person realize that the policies of the past 50 years, which have sought to remove men and fathers from the family unit and to ostracize them from society, are a huge mistake. We're starting to see them realize that men are not inherently evil, that there is not something wrong with them simply because they are men, that they do matter, and they are worthy of respect, caring, and compassion, just as all human beings deserve. That the issues that men and boys face are serious and need to be addressed, and that they affect not just men and boys, but women and indeed all of society. That ignoring those issues, downplaying them, and silencing discussion of them doesn't benefit anyone. In fact, it hurts everyone. And again, I want to be clear, we still have a long way to go. Things aren't going to be completely resolved in 2024 or even in this decade, but I truly believe we have turned the corner and that we will continue to build on the progress we made in the past year throughout 2024 and beyond. I believe more men will stand up and speak out. And as more and more of us continue to speak out, as we continue to stand behind and support those who are speaking out, and as we fight back against those who seek to silence us and prevent discussion of the issues that men and boys face, we will only grow stronger and our voices heard even more. And as we continue to come together and support one another, we'll grow stronger as men, become even more resolute, and show everyone that men are to be valued, that they do matter, and that they deserve the same caring and compassion on the issues that they face that women do. Contrary to what the feminists claim, addressing the issues men and boys face doesn't take anything away from the issues that women face. That's a lie they've espoused for decades to control the narrative and, honestly, to control the money. I truly believe we will continue to make progress and right the wrongs of the past few decades, to bring about change and to bring about the thing that feminists have claimed they were seeking, which is true equality. Equality for both women and men. As you can probably tell, I am excited about the progress we've made in the past 12 months. As I said earlier, more progress than I've seen in the 27 years that I've been doing this prior to the last 12 months. And I'm even more excited for 2024 and the future. I truly believe change is coming and that true equality will be achieved. But we can't rest on our laurels. We have to continue to put in the work. I know I'm going to, and I'm asking all of you to do the same. Whether you want to be like me and speak out publicly, or you want to support those of us that do, behind the scenes. It all helps. It all adds up. It all matters. None of us can do it alone. We need to work together. So to borrow a phrase, let's roll.